What's up everyone, this is 13 with Superior Mobile ByThirteen. Today I'm going to do something a little bit different and show off this headlight before I fully assembled it, and then I'm going to continue the video with it on the vehicle. But I know that once I put the thick glass outer lenses onto this thing, it becomes very difficult to see inside and show off the absolute magnificent beauty of the detail and precision of this build that I have done. So for starters, this is for a 93/94 Mitsubishi 3000 GT. So starting the laundry list of services that I provided for this build is the high beam projector lens. We had that etched with a Mitsubishi logo. The low beam projector has been completely swapped out with a NHK G5X HID by Xenon projector, and in order to accomplish that, I had to have some laser cut acrylic brackets made in order to adapt the bolt pattern of the original housing to the new aftermarket projector. And the reason I chose that projector as compared to the Morimoto MD2S is actually because the MD2S has that bluish tinted glass, and since I was keeping this projector of the high beam location, I wanted to make sure that the lenses would match each other perfectly. Now maybe that's being a little OCD, maybe that's being a little nuanced, maybe I'm just being silly, I don't know, but that was the motivation, and that's why I picked that projector, because as you can see, they both have a perfectly clear lens, whereas that MD2S would kind of have a slightly bluish tinted lens. And there's nothing wrong with that, and it probably would have looked fine, but that's what I did. I also repainted this entire assembly. So this comes from the factory as a body color matched trim panel, and the insides of these areas right here, these are actually normally black. What's super wild is that when I took apart both the headlights, one side didn't have a clear coat, so it was a matte finish, and the other side did have a clear coat, so it was a shiny finish. And you couldn't tell before because there was so much nastiness on the inside of the glass lenses, but once I cleaned up the lenses, I mean, it was gonna be obvious. So I repainted both sides and decided to carry that body color blue into this intersection. And I had a couple motivating reasons behind that, and the first was because I was already going to have to repaint this big piece, I figured why not paint the inside so at least you could tell that it was a custom paint job. Again, just a subtle little difference from all of the other 3000 GTs out there, all what dozen of them. But hey, having extra unique headlights on an extra unique car never hurt anybody, right? And another reason was because I ended up having to do a lot of body work on these inner pieces in order to mount those halos as beautifully as you can see here. Now these inner pieces here are actually aluminum, so they're very durable, and what I had to do was cut them back about 3/8 of an inch so that I could have the clearance for these halos, and then I laser cut some acrylic to bond to that piece, and then that's how we have this halo that is literally flush mounted in there. And the reason I did all that extra work is because these openings are actually oval. I don't know if you can tell that, but when I initially mounted those halos, I had these huge gaps on either side of them, and it just looked terrible. And then sure, maybe that would have been good enough for other builders, but not for me. Now these halos, by the way, are addressable RGBW halos from Next Level Neo, and it's going to be running off of a BlueGhozt controller on the car. So what I'm going to do is put this headlight back together and then continue this video with these bad boys installed on the vehicle and show you off all this sweet addressable goodness. Okay, the headlights are completed and installed on the vehicle, so let me show off this installation really quickly. First of all, I always do a dual fuse setup, and that is because in the event of a addressable LED failure, we don't want to lose actual low beam headlight output. So the headlight circuit has its own dedicated fuse. It is running off of a waterproof relay, and then here is the Ghost module itself that is installed on just a real basic little bracket that I made that holds it. The 5-volt regulator is mounted on the bottom side of it, and then all of the wiring runs around there and then down here and into this bad boy over here. Okay, so here we are. Here's our finished product. So this is what I was talking about with those glass lenses are very reflective. And let me turn on these addressables now for you. Okay, the infamous kaleidoscope mode. And so again, as you can see, we've got dual halos. I think they're 80 mils, and they are wired in series, so they can do awesome things like you're watching right now. Basically, I've just got it on a demo mode where it's going to cycle through modes every 5 seconds. So for turn signals, the way that I set this up, and again, this is totally user programmable, so the owner can change this as he prefers, but since the turn signal's on the outside and it blinks on, which is what turns on the turn signal animation in the halos, I actually did, I think this one was called roll out, where it comes on solid and then rolls out to the side. And if the turn signal had been on the inside, then basically we would have just had a sequential because it would be going away from the factory turn signal. But I thought that this one looked the best, where we still have a bit of an animation going on, but it sequences properly with that one. And also something that I love about the BlueGhozt module, it allows me to tune in the color of the turn signal. So I could perfectly match the amber that is coming off of these bulbs, which I'm pretty sure are the profile peak bulbs from yesteryear. Those were already installed on the vehicle. Now I'm going to show off the startup animation, which honestly I haven't even seen yet, which I really need to get a mirror in the shop so I can actually see these things, but hopefully it's going to look pretty cool. Now, I don't know what that looked like or how fast it was, but that is completely user programmable. There's a ton of different modes, and I have this one ending on a solid blue color, which again can be changed by the owner. And this is gonna happen every time the key is in the ignition position. And there's our turn off animation. Okay, let's talk about headlight output itself. As I've already mentioned, these are the G5X projectors, and this is running a 50-watt HID setup, Morimoto bulbs ballast igniters, and they are the 6,000 Kelvin bulbs. So they are going to start off slightly cool, and as they come to temperature, within the minute, it will become a nice pure white output. And I should have a picture that I can overlay of the cutoff beam pattern that I took the other night when I was aiming them. And what I really liked about these headlights is there are 3 adjustment knobs in order to completely dial in the left, right, and up down of these headlight beam patterns. So man, that is an absolute treat when you're dealing with projector setup. Also on these projectors, since this is such a low car, it's really necessary, but I added a foreground limiter on these because you don't want all the light in front of the car. You want it being cast out. Foreground lighting gives you the illusion of being able to see more, but actually what it's doing is it's making your eyes think that there's more light than there is, and so it eliminates your ability to see longer distances. Now when I kick on the high beams, you can see that we've got quad high beam output, man. Those ByThirteen projectors drop down that shield and you get high beam out of the HID system, and we're running GTR Ultra 2.0's LED bulbs in those high beam position, which are just like the dummiest bright LED bulbs on the market right now. So this is, when I was driving around last night, man, aiming them, it was bright. So I'd say that about covers it. This is an absolutely stunningly beautiful specimen of a vehicle, and I am so honored to have the opportunity to work on this and build these absolutely stunningly beautiful headlights and bring them up to modern day standards. Pricing and product information will be in the video description, so if you have any curiosities about what was utilized in this build and or how much it costs, by all means start your journey there. Every build that I do is custom made to order, so pricing for your particular build will vary depending on the options that you decide to select. All build inquiries must be submitted via the form on my website. A link to my website will also be in the video description. If you like this build, and if you think it's amazing, and if you appreciate my work, be sure to do all that dumb social media stuff like, share, follow, subscribe, blah, blah, blah. But I know that I'm happy with this build. I know the client's gonna be super stoked with this build, and I'm just super grateful that you made it through this entire video and played along with me. So thank you so much for that. This is 13 with Superior Mobile by 13. Have yourselves a wonderful day. I'll talk to you later. See ya!